That's a sound that would get my attention every time I heard it. Welcome to this week's edition of The Weekly. You know, I'm reminded, as we talked about last week, of being thankful in every occasion, on every occasion. And as we go into this holiday season, I want to ask you this. What does it take for God to get your attention? In Exodus chapter 3, starting in verse 2, it says, "The angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of the bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed." As we read this passage, Moses is getting a vision of this burning bush, but it got his attention. But check this out, what verse 3 says. It says that Moses said, "I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn." And this is what I want to point out in this week's edition. It took a burning bush to get Moses' attention. Verse 4 says this, "So when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look," when God noticed that Moses noticed, that's when God began to speak to him, because the Bible says God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, "Moses, Moses." And he said, "Here I am." What does it take for God to get our attention during this holiday season? Is it a Christmas song? Is it a gift? Is it a memory? Is it something that we just think about every Christmas season? You know, whatever that is, I want to remind you that God gets our attention in all kinds of ways. When you see somebody that's in need, that's God trying to get your attention. When you see somebody who's hurting, that's God trying to get your attention. When you hear the sound of Christmas bells and people running and bags flying, that's God trying to get your attention. So as we go throughout this Christmas season, I want to encourage you to be on the lookout for how God is trying to get your attention. And more importantly, I want you to do what Moses did. I want you to respond to what God is calling you to do. So like Moses, we turn and we look at what's getting our attention. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. Look for what God's doing. Follow after what he's telling you to do, and do it with all your heart. May you have a blessed week. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you.